Go ahead and get started. Just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out to the 23-24 Sand Relocation Program meeting. Just give a quick rundown of kind of what the program is and go over some rules, go over what the dune management cost share program is, kind of what we expect the process would be of, applying, doing the site visit, the final inspections, and then how we turn in the credit. And then obviously we have a lot of contractors here, so we can keep our contractor list up to date that we send out when people ask who does these jobs. So just background, when the applications do start, give me about 3 to 4 days to kind of set up, because I'm sure come November 1st when these open, it's gonna be a lot of people that want to get this done. I mean, a lot of wind we've had recently. It's gonna be piled up. If there's anything major, the camera miners, if you're trying to build a deck, a walkover, or do a little bit more clearing, if you're out of the area, you're gonna need a camera miner. That's gonna be more probably Chris Tremblay. That's gonna give him up to 2 weeks to process that. So yeah, as I said, it's authorized, tied through our CAMA major permit with the beach nourishment. It's only for clearing, structures, gazebos, pool fences. It's just to get the sand off of that. It's not for dropping the top of the dune down to make it so people can see better. It's, can't drop them flat. The sand's got to stay on the beach. It can't be hauled away. It can't be taken to, it's got to stay in the system, so on the ocean side, on the beach. So either the homeowner or contractor can fill out the application. Just if you're contractors, please make sure, we have the job. I had a couple incidents last year where rental companies applied and then owner applied, so had to make some extra phone calls, but just make sure that the job is secure before. If you need me to meet you out there, that's perfectly fine as well. I'll gladly come do a pre-site visit with you and walk through. That way we can make sure everything is doable, that the homeowner wants done. Quick phone call, that's fine. Just make sure when we do apply that, you're the one that has the job, so we don't run into multiple people having the job and, trying to figure out who's getting the money. So when you do the application, obviously you'll get the letter for the authorization letter. I know most of you who did it last year got the emails, signed them back to me. Just if you need them, and if you'd rather have them on paper in person, just also let me know that. I'll gladly print the letter out, have you sign it. Just make sure you keep the copy with you to do the work. That way you're authorized. Let's see, walk through. Yeah. So I'm trying to keep. So obviously, just kind of put a copy of what the application looked like. So for some of the homeowners and other people that are new to this, it's what we kind of expect. Just basic information, property address, the homeowner's name, where they're from, who the contractor is going to be doing the work, the amount of area and volume of the sand we're going to be moving, what you plan on doing for stabilization, whether it's sand fence or beach grass or the sea oats or any kind of vegetation. Anything over 1,000 square foot area or 2,700 cubic yard volume of sand is required for stabilization. Whether it's planting or sand fencing, it's a mandatory thing. It's going to be on your letter that way, and it's something we won't be able to finalize the permits unless it is stabilized. So and then when part of the application, a site plan is required. So just kind of need a rough of what you're moving, how much you're moving, where it's going, property lines. That way we know, hey, you're staying within this person's property. We don't want to go over and have people move sand again after it's already been moved once. So you can have 6 foot around any hardened structure. That's walkway, gazebos, pool fences, houses. You can do 6 foot off of those, and then for walkways you can go a foot below the girder. Again, like I said, it's limited excavation, obviously foot below. You just no lowering the dune. Unfortunately, I'm sure contractors have been asked this plenty of times. It's just not something we're going to be able to approve at all. It's not set by us. That comes down from CAMA. The dune shape, it stays the way it goes. So here's just some examples of what you're going to be running into. Obviously, a lot of these are in South Nags Head and just from Bonnet Street south where the program covers. You can pull. Go on in, guys. If you're contractors, if you can just slide in on the table for me right there. Just find an open seat wherever you want or wherever you can. But yeah, just I got some examples of what we ran into last year with some of the sand and the buildup of it. And this is some examples of kind of what we don't like to see. Obviously, as you can see, in the one, somebody went a little above and beyond what. How y'all doing? If y'all can sign in for one, y'all can sign in for me too. Just we can keep. Cause I know y'all are contractors. If you can keep up the list for me. But as you can see, like at the bottom left picture is somebody went a little overzealous with moving of the sand and went across 3 or 4 different properties, dropped the dune. Obviously, that's something we want to really avoid. The bottom right, kind of with the red circle, as the pamphlet on the table shows, it's a little more of the sand fencing, what we're looking for. If it's too tight, people can't get through, and then obviously from like the turtle aspect, turtles could get caught in that, people could get caught in it. It's kind of hard for people to access the beach at that point. And then the bigger top right picture, obviously, if you are moving sand, please do your best to keep it clean when going to the beach. Obviously, I know some things get caught, but if you move sand and then see debris on the beach, if you could grab that or grab it before you move it, we would greatly appreciate it. So yeah, just some more examples. Obviously, you can see the stairs on the right one are pretty covered. You can pull it back off of there 6 foot, and then let it kind of fall back down and do a natural like 3-to-1 slope. And then obviously, yes, just wanted to give a couple different examples of what we kind of run into and what to expect.
So you're saying 6 foot from the walkways?
So yeah, you can do 6 foot off of either side. Obviously, with some of them, like if they have stairs, like some of these, if the stairs are buried, you can kind of come off the stairs, but digging up the stairs is not really going to be an option. And this is kind of, like I said, I wanted to show this one because it is, the sand fence is how we would like to really have it. It's at the 45-degree angle. They're over 7 foot apart. They're at the bottom, 10 foot off the toe of the dune. It's has a perfect walkway for people to get through. If the turtle gets up that far, it has enough room for them to get up there and nest and then get back down. And here's the conditions for doing the work. Obviously, no beach pushing, no pushing the whole dune down, no dropping it. It's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. I understand. People want to get in, get early. Gotta respect the time limits. We thankfully don't have much of an issue with that. But if there is, it's something we'll have to stop you from doing the job until the time to start. And then obviously, we want you out of the beach by 5. Obviously, keep the dune disturbance to a minimum if you can. Anything that's like any vegetation that's been disrupted, we would like that to be planted back, and just try to keep it as maintained as possible, like to natural slope as possible. So I'm sure y'all gonna get tired of hearing this stuff from me already. Obviously, sand stays in the system, can't be hauled away. It's, obviously, again, no lowering the dune. I know we've been hammering that since the start. It's gonna be something that we get. I'm sure you'll get asked a lot as contractors, or it's gonna be one of those things where it's just not gonna happen. You can have, so moving the sand, you can go from 30 feet from the median high tide mark. Obviously, that kind of comes and goes. That's going to be assessed by each job, but you can have 30 foot towards the house as far down the beach as you can go. Again, like I said, anything over 1,000 square foot or 2,700 cubic yards is going to require some sort of stabilization, whether it's sand, beach grass, sea oats, sand fencing, and then obviously anything over vegetation disturbance of 20 square feet, it's going to have to be planted back. Here's a little bit more on the sand fencing. The sand fencing is in the little packet on the table as well. If anybody didn't get any, if we run out, I can always definitely send you the link to it or print out more. But yes, 10 foot from the dune toe, 7 foot spacing. You get a maximum of 10 sections, and they're 45-degree angle to the ocean. We don't want any more than 2 rows going towards the beach on the west side of the dune. You know, you can put more, but east side of the dune, only 2 rows. And if they get covered up, you know, you can stack up on top of each other, but, you know, no more than those 2. For sprigging, you know, you can do American beach grass, like I said, sea oats. Beach grass is going to be more cool weather. Sea oats is going to be a little warmer. You know, it can be fertilized. It's 1.4 pounds for 1,000 square foot. A lot of that's in that pamphlet as well. I don't want to kind of bore y'all with a bunch of numbers and you know, like that. We can, if you need nurseries to get the plants, you know, we have a list of those on our website that I'll gladly forward as well. Just, you know, like I said, my card's on the table. Any of these links and things you might need, just let me know and I can get them to you. Obviously, violations or penalties, like I said, get caught dropping a dune or breaking any of the rules, you know, there is, depending on the severity of the violation, you know, it's going to be, you know, could go into us having to turn it into CAMA, which that's a whole different ball game of how they handle things. You know, 3 is we can go ahead and remove you from the list and not recommend, you know, send the list out when people ask for contractors. Could end up going to penalty or to fines at a certain point, depending on the severity. It's just, you know, follow the rules are pretty easy. I don't think we ask too much of people, but like to keep them, just keep everybody working together. So obviously, actually I did mess up on that date. So November 1st is going to be the opening for the permits. So not the 2nd. I'll need to fix that actually. And then, so what we're going to do is start taking permits the 1st. That way I can set up site visits, do the walkthrough with the contractor, and then, you know, get them approved. But work cannot start until the 15th. 8:30 on the 15th, you can start moving sand as long as you have the approval letter signed and back to me. It will take applications until April 15th of 2024. All work must be completed and off the beach by April 30th. That's when our turtle moratorium starts, is May 1st. So no more sprigging can happen afterward, but no sand moved after April 30th. Obviously, like I said earlier, Bonnet Street beach access to the south lit town limits is where this program falls under. If you're outside, if you have a client outside of that area, we can do it as a CAMA minor permit. That just takes a little bit more time to process and a little more paperwork. Now we're gonna go, so this I think this really picked up last year. So we're gonna go into a little more explanation. So we started the Dune Grant. It is town funded. It helps kind of offset the cost of doing this process, as the board recognizes it's not the cheapest thing, but it is a necessary thing to do. So you can get up to $3,500 for relocation and stabilization. It helps cover, I said, the moving. It helps cover the materials of stabilization and the labor. So you can get, but if you do get the money, the stabilization is required, just like it is if you do what we call level D, which is over the 1,000 square foot and over the 27 cubic foot. You would just need, there's a link on our website that has everything you need, the W-9. We would just need an invoice, a paid invoice, and a canceled check, and then I just want to make sure I got everything. Yes, you gotta have the address. I think we need to have your name, and then whoever is paying, whoever's name is on the check is who's getting the money. So if you have like an LLC, or if it's a group of people, whoever paid the money is who the check is getting back to on the W-9. Whoever filled out the W-9 and sends the check in, that's who we're reimbursing. But it does have to be paid first, and then obviously fill out the W-9, get us and it does have to be finalized. If it's not stabilized, or anything like, and the relocation hasn't been finalized, we can't get you your money back.
Is that per house?
Yes, ma'am, it's per parcel. But so to get, and I'm gonna add this before we go on, June 25th, 24 is gonna be the deadline of have everything submitted. After that, we can't refund anybody due to physical year closing. So that's like our budget. We need to have that closed out by then. And then it has to, the $3,500 is available every 3 years. So if you got it this year, it'd be, 2026 before you could get the full amount again. You can get $1,000 every year for stabilization. So if you, move it, and you can get up to $1,000 to help repay for more sand fence, more sprigging. And that, again, will still cover materials and labor. Like I said earlier, all sand projects are required to have a final inspection. Just give me a call whenever you're done. Come out and get the final pictures. We'll get it closed out, and you can, submit your bill or however y'all want to handle that as well on the contractor side. Like I said, authorization needs to be applied by April 15th, and then all the work needs to be done and finalized by April 30th. As you know, a lot of contractors are here tonight. So town maintains a list for some of the homeowners. The town maintains a list. It's on our website. Gladly reach out to me or Kelly B here or anybody else. We can forward you the list. Obviously this was a training opportunity to update everybody on the rules and what we expect, so that everybody that's on that list is going to be in here sitting through this presentation. Let's see, we can send that out. Just ask me whenever. We cannot make a specific recommendation, but obviously everybody on there has been through this said training. And obviously Kelly B and I both have our cards on the table back here, but there's our main planning department number, and then our direct numbers and our emails. All right. Anybody have any questions? I know I kind of probably went a little fast with that, but I know we don't have that long of a time, so I didn't want to hold anybody up. And
I got a couple questions.
of course you do.
Number one,
Yeah.
if I have sand in a certain location, can I still move it down the beach to another location as long as it's in the AEC?
We're trying
from one location where they got too much to another location where they don't have enough. Am I still allowed to do that? I think we have been in the past.
We have in the past. I know that was a couple years ago they allowed that. We're trying not to do that anymore. It needs to stay on property, on their side.
Okay, quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone keeping a list of who in the AEC needs sand and who has too much?
No, ma'am. It's not something. I mean, it's kind of in a way that might be more of an opinion thing, I guess, for the too much sand at least. There is some spots I'm sure that do need sand, but that'd be kind of I think a hard list, especially with some of the wind that could change week to week.
Another question. I know the town is proposing to plant grass in certain areas.
Yep.
Is there any way we can get a map of that so that when we are applying for these applications, that we don't have to go out there and worry about covering up you guys' grass before we move our sand?
I'm gonna let David Ryan handle that one. I think that's a little more of his area.
I mean, that would help everyone, I think.
Yeah, so the town has received a grant through the Coastal Storm Damage Mitigation Fund to go ahead and plant dune plantings within the project area, and that spans from Bonnet Street all the way down to the southern corporate limits. We are working with our consultant right now to identify exactly where those areas are. As soon as we come up with a plan, we will go ahead and post that on our website. Right now we are targeting the springtime planting for that. We're looking at January, February, March, because it's going to be comprised of American beach grass, which that falls right within that planting season. It's one of those things, it may work out in some situations, it may not work out for all situations, because of the fact that you're going to have dune relocation taking place and we'll have plantings done sometimes simultaneously. We'll do the best that we can on our side to let you know where it's going to be sequenced, when it could occur, so we could coordinate that. Like I said, it may work out, it may not, but we'll do the best that we can to push out that information.
Okay, well, I've got you on the floor. I got another question for you.
Yes, sir.
I would like to push up the board that, is there any way we can make a request that we have like a shoulder season on this date from November the 15th till May the 1st? where if we have storms and hurricanes, in which we know we do, can we make a deal with, we get somebody from Audubon, somebody from Nest, they come in there and inspect our site, and then let us push the sand back on the beach where it came from and where it needs to be?
We're pretty much locked into that turtle nesting season.
I mean,
And-
I understand this, but if we don't ever ask, we're never gonna get anything.
All right, and that is something that has to go up through the federal agencies to go ahead and permit. I mean, right now, it's very restrictive. And I don't know, even politically, if we ask that question, that we're gonna be able to make any headway.
Well, I mean, I realize that, that's what I'm saying.
It's
They're not gonna
something-
listen to- They're not gonna listen to us.
It's
But
something
we
that,
have to start somewhere if we want to
right,
ask this.
it's something that we can go ahead and
Tonight
mention.
it's for you.
Right, it's something that we can go ahead and mention to our board to see if there's a political appetite to go ahead and push that forward up to the next level to see if there's anything that can be done with that.
We would all appreciate that. I do believe it.
But knowing what I know, I can't say that I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to make any headway.
I understand.
Because even with us going out and doing planting, going ahead and putting in sand fencing, over time, we have found that more and more restrictive and had to jump through more and more hoops. And so knowing that, we'll ask the question.
Okay, I just want to put it out there and hope someone will.
Okay, yes, sir.
Are the towns working with one voice? You know, I know this is Nags Head, but what about Campbell Hill? Are you all working as county or just as Nags Head?
When it comes to the,
Sand relocation.
okay, so this sand relocation program is unique only to Nags Head. The genesis of this started back in 2014 when we had some residents reach out to our board and said, you know, we're inundated with sand. You have to do something about this. So essentially, we developed a program. We brought it forward to Division of Coastal Management, and they said we could go ahead and permit this program and tie it to your beach nourishment program. And so it's tied to our permit. And so this is a managed way to permit homeowners to go ahead and get the sand that's blowing back onto their property, back onto the beach in a managed approach. But as far as I know, the other townships do not have a program like this. And this is not a statewide program. This is just unique to Nags Head. And because we have it tied to our beach nourishment program, or our permit, that it is something that we have to make sure that we follow up with, we get it right, and that we administer it so it doesn't jeopardize our future nourishment projects.
I had a question. Say you got a house and you cannot get to the beach from that house, but everything, all the sand's in the front, they got dunes, say on the sides, can you just put it right on top of the dunes like that right there? It's already got, and it's got big fencing there as well already.
Okay. Connor, you wanna?
Yeah. So, yes, and I mean, it'd be something that we have to like address kind of on site, look at it more or less, than to tell you yes, like hey, we could do this. Maybe something I'd really look at, because if it's in the front yard, I mean, it's ocean. If it's ocean, all this is considered oceanfront property. If it's got to be oceanside only. If it's obviously if it's sand blown across the road, it's not something that really can be hauled across the road to put back on the beach. If it's if it's an oceanfront home and they don't have a walkway to dig out, and they do, I mean it's something we could definitely look at and see if it's would fall under the program. I mean it might be something to go into more of the kind of Camel minor land disturbance permit at that point, but it's something we'd have to look at more. And I don't want to tell you yes and then it be a no. I'd rather be honest and
Assess it.
assess it on site and look at it when it comes to a situation like that. Yes, sir. Trevor.
I'm sorry, I was a little
Yep.
bit late, but can you remind me why this is not applied to north of Bonnet Street? What's the reason for that?
Right, because since this is tied into our existing beach nourishment project, that spans from Bonnet Street, that's the northern limit, down to down to just south of McCall and the Park Service. And so we have to stay within those limits, and we can't go outside that with this program.
Is there any plan to start doing some activity north of Bonnet? Because we have a house up there and it's getting eroded away, so.
Well, one of the planning efforts that we are currently in the midst of is a beach nourishment master plan. And that's a 50-year outlook as to sand sources, beach nourishment triggers, looking at locations and hot spots all up and down the beach here in Nags Head. So one of the things that is included in that is looking potentially at nourishing that last northern mile. And that is in its draft form right now, and that will be presented back to our board after the first of the year. That's a long-range plan, but I think currently for the next plan project, which we're looking at in right now 26, 27, that is currently not within that project timeframe, but could be at some point in the future.
And just to add on to what David said, being in the north, that you can still do some. It just would be a CAMA minor instead of through the CAMA major and the sand relocation. It's still relocation is possible. It just takes a little more paperwork and a little more steps to follow than just doing the sand relocation permit.
I understand, we got a little more problem than just.
Right,
location of it.
right, yeah.
Losing our beach there and the rest of the town's being taken care of.
Understand, yeah. I just wanted to make sure I don't know if you heard that part before you came in, or not. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yes, sir.
Two follow-ups on planning town to plant beach grass and all. I know you said you're assessing that and kind of determine where that's going to be. Do you have a timeline for when those decisions will be finalized, when that'll maybe be posted on the website so we can see where you're planning to plant beach grass in the spring?
I anticipate that should be available sometime January, February at the latest.
Okay.
Like I said, there's still a process that we have to go through. We're going to have to consult with some of the permitting agencies. We're currently working with our consultant to go ahead and put those plans together. And then once we've gone through the agencies, then we can go ahead and make those publicly available. And like I said, it's going to take a couple months to do that. So January timeframe is when we anticipate that, February at the latest.
Okay. And then, secondly, will putting sand fence up be part of any of that issue?
This is just going to be vegetative sprigging only.
Okay.
What we've tried to do over the past couple nourishments is be really aggressive with our sand fencing. And so in most areas, we do have 2 rows up. And in recent discussions with some of the federal permitting agencies, they don't want us to put any more rows behind that. There's some issues with the turtles and having access up through the dunes. And so any more rows of sand fencing could limit or prohibit turtles from getting up in the dunes. So as it stands right now, we've got this grant, and this grant is to go ahead and just do vegetative planting.
Can we hand shovel walkways?
Yeah.
We don't determine anything to hand shovel and clean them off so people have access to the beach.
And as long as all this is from machinery, if it's hand shoveling, have fun.
Are you saying anything over 1,000 feet must be sand fenced and sprigged, or is it either or?
Either or. I mean, if I'm just to be perfectly honest, as kind of David said, the DCM and all that are pushing for a lot more sprigs due to some of the issues that come along with sand fencing. It deteriorates, people can get cut, turtles can get caught. It's not the best looking after a couple seasons, so they would like to see more vegetation. It does seem, and then to me, I think the vegetation might slow it down just a little bit more than the sand fence builds it up. So that's all. It's and or.
And there's pros and cons to doing both. Sand fence is more effective up front. That will go ahead. That has a higher capture rate. And with sprigging, it takes a while for that to go ahead and really establish, so it may be several years before it really becomes effective. So we're trying to find a balance between the two.
Are the sand fences required to be wood?
Yes. Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Did you say we're allowed to remove 6 foot of the sand on either side of our walkway?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a six foot on either side and a foot down below the girder.
And where do we put that sand?
You can put, so in season starting November 15th, it can go back on the beach. You got 30 foot west from the high tide mark as far as you can go down on the beach. So,
What about in between? We've got two pools, or a pool on our side, pool on their side. I understand the 6 feet between the dunes, but we do 6 feet on either side of the pools. We got this mound of sand. I mean, can we clear in between the pools?
again, that's probably more of a case by case to look at it. I said the rules is with it being 6 foot, if it's more or less, west side of the dune in the front, might have a little more wiggle room, but generally, 6 foot's kind of what it's set because it's about the width of the bucket. I don't want to tell you yes, this could be the case without looking at it in person and seeing. It would be one of those. I mean, if it's like you and your neighbors kind of in between, if it's 6 foot over both of them, it probably would clear the whole thing. No.
It'll leave a big mound right there.
I said it's something.
Which will fill in with
Right.
any type of wind.
Right. I said that's going to be one of those things that would be kind of a case by case look at it and see and address it as we kind of do the site visit.
Do you have a contractor list tonight?
Yes, sir. That's why I've been having all of them sign in. We're going to get it updated, and hopefully by Friday to early Monday, I'll have everybody's information updated, and it's on our website, though. Yes, ma'am.
When is the application like gonna be active?
For the relocation,
Yeah.
November 1st.
Okay.
I had
So
second
that's
on there.
clicking on it and it's
Yes,
going
ma'am.
to
So the Dune grant is open now,
Okay.
but the application for the relocation does not start until November 1st. And if you are a homeowner here and you do want to do the grant, I would recommend go ahead and filling it out now. It is a first come, first serve to get the money. So if you didn't get the full, if you got the full amount, like I said, you can get another $1,000 to at least go up to $1,000 for sprigging. So. Yes, ma'am.
Your sprigging is going to be done by the town anyway, right?
In some area, yes, ma'am, to an extent. But if you're moving the sand, what you move needs to be stabilized as well, because they won't come up. If you're putting it, on the top of the dune, or they only come up a certain amount. They don't go, on top of your dunes. And so if you put on top of your dune, what you move needs to be sprigged and stabilized as well.
And I was a little confused
Yes, ma'am.
about the grant
Yes, ma'am.
application.
Mm-hmm.
Because my house is old, it has no heat and no air, so my family does not open up until Memorial Day, with the exception of whoever's in charge of getting the sand moved, and that's
Right.
I'm the person who's been
Mhm.
doing that. So if I wait and do my application when my sand guys are there to move the sand, I'm probably not gonna be in the first batch.
And that's what I'm saying. Go ahead and apply for it now. You don't have to have the sand moved when you apply. It just needs to be turned. Like you can apply now, move your sand January.
But I won't know how much sand I'm gonna move. in
So
April.
for the dune grant, you don't need to know. It's just kind of the rough area of how many sprigs you're gonna do. Rough area of kind of a vegetation or that you're gonna move. Like we don't need exact numbers for the area you're moving. Kind of your best guess of kind of the area. If you know you're doing your walkway, like around your walkway, and it's something if you want to come into the office, we can help you go through it. Like if you're gonna be here tomorrow, I'm here at 8:30. Feel free. I can come in. We can go on Dare County GIS and we can take a little drawing tool and it gives us, an exact. I'll gladly sit down and help you with it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Will all of the oceanfront be spread in your new plan?
I think the original plan was to try to cover as much as the oceanfront, the 10 miles of oceanfront as possible. That's really going to be a function of what the bids come in at and what we have available as far as funding. The intent is yes, but until we develop the final plan and see what that cost is, that may vary. So we should have a better sense come the first of the year. All right, any other questions? All right, well, we appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We've got a great crowd here, so yeah, thank you very much for your participation and your interest in this program.
But you say your maps for your beach grass should be out around January?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I think that means most helpful to everyone, and even for you guys as part too, man. I mean, sometimes we gotta move the sand, man, and it's sitting there. You put the grass in the places where we were gonna put the sand, we have no alternative but to cover it up. And granted, I know it will come through, but trying to work with
Right.
trying to work with everyone.
Once we have those plans, we'll have a rough idea of where the plantings are going to be, and then that will be able to afford us to coordinate better.
Okay, for everybody that's on the list, will you send that?
As long as they contact us in advance and they let us know that they don't want any, we do have a list from back in 2019 whenever we did the sand fencing. We heard from a lot of the property owners there in the historic district that they did not want it. So if you do not want it, you can contact us and let us know in advance before we go ahead and
Do
place it.
they need to recontact you, or are you gonna go by the list that you had from 2019, or?
I would say, to be safe, go ahead and contact us.
Okay.
And I'll leave my cards up front as well if you want to get one of my cards.
Okay.
I'm overseeing the planting from the town side, so we'll coordinate with Connor and the planning folks to make sure that we do our best to coordinate these efforts.
Because there's a lot of for instance, you know, like some of the ones I do where I have to cover their whole property in sand, which would destroy, recover every bit of sprigging you did. So, like, I need to try to, and I usually wait till those jobs I usually wait till at least the last 2 weeks to do, so your sprigs will already be out there. So I would need to try to, and like he was saying, we usually get our worst blows a week after we're thrown off the beach.
Right.
And, you know, they're gonna be screaming at me if I go in there 2 months early to do some of my biggest jobs and move their sand because you're gonna get sprigs on top. And I don't wanna cover your sprigs, so I'm not really sure, you know, and of course, they would benefit from having the sprigs, but not if I've got to bury them to get rid of all the sand, because
No, we understand, and there's gonna be some cases where we're just, I mean, it's gonna be unavoidable. But we'll do the best that we can to push out the information, so it's out there, it's available to the public, and so we can try and coordinate it. I know for the American beach grass, I think it's the end of March is really the back end of that planning timeframe, so that, and I know, like you said, that's kind of the time where people want to go ahead and do the sand relocation, is try to fit it in towards the very back end of our program to make sure that they get the biggest bang for their buck. So, like I said, we'll do what we can. In some cases, we'll be able to get it right. Other cases, it may not work out.
well, a question, will you work with, like, if I tell those customers now that y'all are gonna do sprigs, and maybe they can work with y'all to where, like, leaving the space to put the sand, so, like, so it works out better for both, so they get the sprigs, and, but then there's still room allowed to where, like, I know, you know, all the years previous, the sand fencing and sprigs, like, there's never any coordination between us and y'all. And then, you know, we've got to move the sand fence, we've got to bury the sprigs. And, I mean, is there any avenue to where the actual property owners could work with y'all as far as the sprigging goes, so it's not like, we're not, like, just basically undoing the work that you're paid to have done?
It's one of those things, and you know, you as contractors know how it goes. Is when you go ahead and you submit a proposal to go ahead and do a job, you're doing it within a certain time frame and based upon ideal conditions. And so, if you start changing that up, that's just going to add cost to the town to be able to try to coordinate that. Like I said, we'll do the best that we can to go ahead and get those plans out there as soon as they're ready. And so when these applications come in, you know, there is a possibility that we can try to cross-reference the plans with the locations to see if we can hold off on the sprigging if work is going to be planned within that short term. So we'll do what we can, but we can't make a guarantee that's going to work out.
What's the repercussions if you've already planted it and we just go cover it up?
Well, I think as part of the program, when you do your relocation, there's post-stabilization required, so.
And we're gonna have to plant on top of that? We all know that beach grass will come through that sand that we put on top of it, given due time, as you said. Takes 2-3 years sometime to get it established.
Well, I think that the post-stabilization requirement would still apply.
Still gonna stay over top of
So
that.
if we bury y'all's new sprigs, we still gonna have to re-sprig on top of that?
Yes, sir. All right, any other questions? All right, we'll have our contact information out there if there's any additional questions that you have after the fact. We'll be glad to answer them as best we can.